Welcome to Bropostles, the podcast for people who take their faith seriously but not themselves. I'm Ethan.
And I'm
this
Patrick.
is Patrick. We're on the show. We're live. We've got some guests. This is
we're
very
not
normal.
alone.
This is abnormal. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm contractually obligated to be here. I'm used to. It's like when you hang out with your wife, and then like another person or another people come in, another like group comes in, and you have to kind of like, put on we're hosting people.
So am I
type
the
of
wife
attitude
in this scenario?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
I don't know why this is coming. I watched Boondock Saints for the first time yesterday, and I was horrified by the scene of Willem Dafoe dressed as a woman.
Really?
And I just can't get that out
that's
of my...
That's my wallpaper. I see that every day.
Is it now?
Yeah. We'll stop pussyfooting around. We've got the guys from the Freedom Group who have been a generous sponsors of the podcast. This month, you've heard our advertisements about them. They're doing wonderful work. We've got Nick and Joe coming in from the Freedom Group. Go to thefreedomgroup.co to see what they're about. We're going to learn all about them here, but they're wonderful guys. Be very kind to them in the comments. Nick and Joe, nice to have you.
Good to be here.
Somebody crush me.
What?
Come on.
Bring it on.
Do it.
Do your best shot.
In the comments. Yeah.
Do you guys, what's your experience with the online vitriol? Do you catch a lot of it? Or are you somewhat because Patrick and I are on X, the cesspool of the internet, and we just frequently are buried under mountains of ridiculousness. Do you guys interface much with that, or are you too busy having real jobs?
I'm not on X. Mostly it's just DMs that people just will say some things that they don't appreciate. I did get a video taken down off of Instagram a year ago when I talked about basically Pharaoh killed all the boys and let the girls live. I think the scripture says, and I commented on the power of like, if you want to kill society, kill the boy, kill the men. And I just made that comment and somebody did not like it, and they must have reported it because it got taken down like the next day. So
that's great. That's just biblical. That's just, you're just doing a little sermon there.
That's
has nothing to do.
Simply observing facts. That is offensive. People are pretty gentle. Either that or they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So they stay away.
Yeah. That's 100% fair. So where would be the best place? Are you guys on Instagram the most? I see you on LinkedIn, but I can't imagine our audience is on LinkedIn all that often. So
it's my favorite. It's my favorite social media app. If I'm being totally honest.
Are you being 100% serious?
Oh, 100% serious. I love
the Gary V, the arbitrage. There's so much opportunity on LinkedIn because people are so boring. If you're funny,
if you're
just a little bit.
LinkedIn drives me crazy.
It's like I was a youth minister because I was a slightly fun guy who really liked theology, but I should have been a high school theology teacher because I was too much nerd for youth ministry and I wasn't fun enough. But if I had flipped it, I would have been a great theology teacher because I would have been fun enough for high school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I should have been a LinkedIn ghostwriter is what I should have been.
You should be on LinkedIn. I should not be on LinkedIn.
That's true.
That's why I like LinkedIn.
Say,
I can type all day long. I'd prefer not have to exercise the video making content creation game. I'd like to just stay away from that or hire somebody to do it for me.
The written word is so much more potent than doing a TikTok dance and posting it to your share. I don't think men are meant to dance in front of a camera. I think especially not alone in your room on a tripod. I think there's something deeply spiritually wrong with that. I can't put my finger on why. Maybe you guys could articulate it, but
I mean, I'll try anything twice, but I'm not going to not judge the guys.
That's true. That's a good point. Why don't you guys give just a rundown? If they've listened to the podcast past couple of weeks, they've heard the ads, but I think it would be good just to hear about the Freedom Group, how it got started, and why you guys are in this business of working with the most hated group in America, which is young men. Why did you choose that cross? So would love to hear from either of you.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Nick and I have been in men's work pretty much our whole career, ministry for most of the time, and now with the Freedom Group. In one form or another, we both started out of college working for St. Paul's Outreach, doing largely men's work, men's ministry there in the context of a broader community of men and women. And then I went to work for marriage and family ministry. And through all of that, I had a porn problem. So that's the origin of the reason how we got where we are. Is for 23 years I was trying to stop and couldn't figure out how to do it. Got a background. My educational background is in neuroscience, which nobody believes when I tell them that the first time.
I believe it. You look like a Huberman disciple. I'll say
yes,
right.
It's somewhere between that and when I tell people I was homeschooled up until high school. They also echo with similar levels of disbelief.
Sure.
My mom's a pretty great lady. I've fashioned her that way through all the cross that I've made her carry through my time as her pupil. But so, I mean, basically since 7 years old, got introduced to porn, was sexually abused around that same time. And porn became my drugs, alcohol, everything I needed to cope in life. And that's what I did. I didn't make my freshman year basketball team because instead of practicing that summer, I spent in a closet somewhere masturbating. And I mean, it was a raging, that 19,
That
what was
one
it?
right there. A lot of dirty stuff has happened in that
A
closet.
lot of things
that's
happening
right.
in the closet.
It just was out of control. And it's so many of the guys we talk to who start, as most men do, 10, 11, 12 years old, it peaks in high school, which is obviously pretty predictable. We could all assume why. And then you start to try to get a handle on it through college. If you decide that this is a value you no longer want to live under, you try to get a handle on it, and it just doesn't go away. And so basically, once I started living my faith again, sophomore year of high school, went on a retreat that was really transformational for me. Started to believe that I was good and that God loved me, and that was enough. I wasn't dirty and worthless and a piece of crap if I was being honest with myself, and that was awesome. I had 3 months of sobriety, didn't have any craving, no desire, and then it came back. And every 1 to 2 weeks, I would hit a wall and not be able to stop myself, and then it had all the times leaning on the mirror, frustrated, pissed off myself, like, what the heck did I just do? I didn't want to do that again. Why am I here? And so that was basically 13 years after I graduated, that kind of experience coming in and out. And I tried everything. I read all the books, went to counseling, was in various forms of men's groups, was honest about it pretty much all the way through, and it just didn't leave. Even though it was like, I always say, like, it's for most guys, if you said, what are the 3 biggest problems in your life that if you could snap your finger and they were gone, what are they? For men that are looking at this stuff and don't want to be, it would make the top 3, but it's never the dream outcome, right? I don't think like, okay, I want to be a man that people know me as doesn't look at porn. Like, that's what I'm aspiring to. No, I really hate that that's the case. And I know that it's holding me back from doing the thing or becoming the man that I want to become. And I always had a sense for that. But it wasn't until I realized that it was my allergy to picking up my cross and carrying it. It was my allergy to discomfort that I had gone through pretty much every developmental stage of my life and had an easy button for my way out of pain and discomfort in big and small ways. And I took it pretty much every single time that I had no capacity apart from porn to emotionally regulate. And then you get married and start having kids and you do all this stuff and you realize actually there's a lot of reasons why I need to have some skill in emotional regulation and learning how to pick up and carry my cross and shoulder discomfort. And actually, I want that as a man, but I don't have it. And so that's what started the desire, and through education and information, reading the right books and going through all the courses and stuff that are out there, learning a ton about cognitive behavioral therapy, talking to Nick a bunch at the beginning of this, like there's answers out there for how to do this. It's not just a spiritual issue. And it clicked for me. I started working with a guy, a peer of mine, every single day for 3 months straight, talking on the phone every single day, started working with another counselor and then a coach. And all those components together got me from this 1 to 2 week habit where I couldn't stop to the point where I no longer had craving ever again. And it was like, if you had told me when I started that process that that's where it was going to be, I would have told you you're full of crap, because I had tried so many other things. And so that's where it came from. And the origin of it, really, that's my story. The origin of it was I shot Nick a hilarious video of this weird dude standing in a mahogany office asking the weirdest questions. And it was like nobody. And then like everybody's youth minister, speaking of youth ministers, and he's asking like the strangest out of the box questions. And I was like, holy crap, that is Nick Red. Because he and I used to do ministry work way back when I was still in college and then early post-college. And so I was like, dude, it's you.
The guys in the quad and just say the most random things, and it would work.
What type of things are you saying? What are you ripping to these people?
Oh, Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
I shouldn't ask you questions on the podcast.
No, right? Yeah, this is. No, we. I mean, Joe and I we had a scooter phase. We'd rip like a Razor scooter, but Joe, you had like an oversized, probably
big wheel scooter, baby.
Tires,
yep.
And just owning it, and we would just walk up and just, ask if they want to ride our scooter, or just say,
no, you'd be like, why do you think stars come out every night?
Yeah.
Or like, you'd be like, do you guys ever wonder why the Egyptians killed all the male children and
male
left
babies.
he actually would ask questions like that. It was like nobody would walk up to a group of strangers and ask that. The hilarious part to me as an observer of this all the time, doing mission work with them, is it would work every time. Yeah. Like 5 minutes in and somebody is like spilling their guts or poured out their heart or talking about something super honest and vulnerable. Yeah. I was like, how did you do that? That was such a, you just put your foot in your mouth and now people care. It's just so out of the box. People love it. The
go-to was just walking up, sitting down at the table with a group of people and just say, hey, sorry, I'm late, guys, what I miss. Nice. I just invite anybody listening to this to do that. And it works like a charm. That's just really own the table.
Yes. Yeah. One time I met a guy in college ministry and he was walking around and I talked to him on campus and I said, hey, what's your name? I don't have any interesting questions. I was just like, what's your name? He's like, oh, I'm Dale. And he had like a gymnastics shirt on. I was like, oh, do you do gymnastics? And he goes, yeah, I compete. And I said, you got to have a pretty good body for that. And he just kind of looked at me and I was like, I'm actually not hitting on you at all. I just kind of said the first thing that came to my mind.
The Olympics.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And
I could be.
And he walked away, and then every time he would see me on campus, he would sort of move to the other side of the sidewalk. So
Dale,
you'd be like, "Hey, Dale, how's that body?"
Hey, Dale,
great body, Dale. As always.
Yeah, that's right. So to land the plane on the story,
of course,
I texted Nick that like after multiple years of Nick and I not talking because he was down in Kansas, I was up in Minnesota. He texts me back and says, "Hey, when are we going to start something together?" And
start our men's ministry.
Yeah, and I was like, funny enough, I've been thinking about some stuff. We should talk. And so I was running this marriage and family nonprofit at that point. And it's just like, as God does, and Ed Milet says, you're best equipped to serve the person you used to be. God just kept bringing guys into my life through that ministry, through old relationships and connections. And I'm a natural marketer, so I'm talking to everybody I know about what I've been experiencing. I'm not really shy about that part of my story in life. And people are like, dude, you got to help me. So I had started to kind of like softly coach some guys on an individual basis. And it started to like try to work all this stuff out in my mind. And then Nick and I start talking. And then it's like, oh, I actually think there's something here. Mm-hmm. We should try to do something with this. Mm-hmm. And I won't get into that now, but there was a 6-week process where I was laid up in a bed because I injured my knee. And it was like, I'm a mover. If God hadn't put me on that bed right behind me in this office here, there was an inflatable bed right here. And for 6 weeks, I had a notebook or my computer, and I made a 98-page document of all my thoughts of like how to, like what would be valuable enough to a guy. How do you package this and deliver this to a guy that for any guy that's struggling with porn, that you could take him somewhere and that we could legitimately offer in a year or less, we will help you get free from the craving of porn, or we'll work with you completely free, which nobody else out there is willing to do. And I think we should do more of that. Like I always say, in ministry or anything that's serving people, we got to care more about people's problems than our solution. And if we think our solution's the bee's knees, but we stop caring about the problem the person, the problem that the person that we're serving is facing, they feel that, and it becomes tone deaf to their reality. And it's like, guys want this out of their life and they want it out now. Well, we can't do now. I don't have the magic pill to be able to snap your fingers, but I know how to get you there in a year. And so if you're willing to sign up for that and commit to that, that's what we're going to do for you. We're going to put you through the process that will help you get there, or we're going to put our money where our mouths are and figure out how to make that happen. So that's what we're doing today.
You mentioned getting introduced at 7 to pornography. You work with a lot of guys. Do you see a difference between guys who get introduced that early to guys who get introduced later? Do you see is there a difference in like how more difficult it is for guys to get free? Is it relatively the same? What do you think?
I would say the guys that we have worked with up until now, I would say relatively the same.
Okay.
A lot of it comes down to, in my experience, what was happening in their world around them.
Mm.
Environmental situation, family conflict, divorce,
Sure.
emotional distance, being bullied by peers. I mean, the sort of the core three common denominators for men who struggle with sexual addiction in particular, or more generally, is emotionally distant parents or parent figures, growing up in a performance-driven faith where it's sort of the whitewashed tomb, look holy on the outside, but life sucks behind, but put on a face and make it look good, and being bullied by peers. And so if elements of those are part of a guy's experience, it tends to be kind of the same. He could have not been introduced. I'm thinking of a guy in particular who wasn't introduced until 20, 21,
Oh, wow.
where porn became the outlet for him. But you listen to his story of what was happening when he was young and what he went through, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Like
I'd cope when I found something that alleviated that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with everything you said, and then add a little bit. I agree. One guy that's coming to mind, I've run a priest group, and there was a guy that hadn't looked at porn until early 20s, and he's currently basically at a regular cadence where he's still we're working with him to get through. And so agree with everything you said. I mean, this guy's got a lot of pain and trauma in his past too, but just porn didn't come into his life until later. He didn't find that numbing agent until later. He's a little bit older. But there is I will say there is something about prepubescent exposure, pre-adolescent exposure to pornography is a little more traumatizing to the brain and central nervous system. Eddie Caparucci, he's kind of our go-to in phase 2. We go through his book, and we going deeper how the inner child impacts sexual addiction. And he goes through these 12 inner children. It's fascinating stuff. And everyone can relate to the experience of, you're in a moment, you're in a situation, you're leading a meeting, let's say, and somebody gives you a look or something. And all of a sudden you feel like an effing 12-year-old kid and you don't know why. And I'm like, I feel all this stuff's coming up. There's an inner child that's kind of rearing his head and trying to really kind of protect you. Anyways, I don't need to dive too much into that, but one of the inner children he talks about is the early exposed or abused child, whether that's actually being abused by another person or abandoned or something like that, or there's a sexual exposure in some capacity. So there is something about that as well to deal with. And I agree with everything Joe just said about with regards to becoming free from the craving. There's a lot of dynamics at play, but that's one dynamic that is notable.
Yeah, because when it comes to coping mechanism stuff, I'm more familiar with like the psychology around alcoholism. Like not from a personal perspective, but just from like a family perspective. A lot of my family I'm Irish and Italian, so there's a lot of it's got to come to the territory.
Didn't stand a chance.
And yeah, right. And from what I understand, for alcoholism, if you don't develop a regular drinking habit by the time you're even like 16, the likelihood of you becoming an alcoholic is just like drastically low. And then there's another spike in college, but after that, it's basically none. Is there a similar thing for pornography, or is that 20-year-old guy an outlier and most of them are exposed around teenage years or younger?
The average age of exposure across the general population for men is 10.5 to 11, and for women is 12 to 13. So, and this isn't answering your question, but of the general population, 85% of men self-report to looking at porn at least once a month. And if they're looking at least once a month, it's probably more frequent. And for women, it's now almost 50% in the latest research. So there aren't necessarily that I'm aware of studies that point to those same sort of evidence spikes. Like if it hasn't become a core coping mechanism or a solution to your problems by 16, you've avoided it. I mean, a lot of funny enough, I mean, you can look to the rise of the internet where many older men, 40s and 50s men, started to get exposed to pornography in a whole new type of way. And that was the first time in their lives because it didn't exist before, right? You could look at a 2D image and maybe many of them had at one point or another, but not doing it regularly. But then they get exposed for the first time in 40 to 50. And to that extent, I mean, it does the same thing to your brain, no matter who you are, how old you are.
It's probably less like alcohol, and that's a little bit more like crack. It's like all of a sudden all of these, because it's images.
It's doing the same thing to every brain, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting.
I'm wondering so obviously you guys have a lot of the science here. You have a lot of the ministry background, the personal experience. You don't have to speak badly about anybody else, but what do the other get free from porn in 21 days or less programs, what do they get wrong? Because obviously you're doing a different model. It's a year long, work with you for free until you don't have the cravings anymore. The way you speak about it is different. I've heard about a billion different accountability softwares and programs and groups and PDFs and books and all these different things. It's a little bit overwhelming.
I will say, or even like the DIY strategies. Like my buddy and I, we're gonna text each other.
We're gonna cold showers.
Did you watch porn today? No. Like what?
Yeah.
Some of those DIY strategies. How is it different?
Yeah. So what's different?
There's something to all of the things you just mentioned. I think what we have brought together is certainly our own experience and the best of everything that's out there. And bring deep accompaniment, because even the education and training system, like we just gave somebody our videos, and they just went through it with the buddy, that still wouldn't do it. So it's just a comprehensive approach. Joe's a neuroscience background. My background is in exercise physiology. And so we take a body, mind, spirit, come on, that's right, approach. And so we take a whole person approach, a truly Catholic approach, right? According to the whole person. And so if we just spiritualize it, I know in my own life, if I've just moralized the issue, then I can perpetuate the cycle of addiction just by confessing it. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's say it's Tuesday and it's 8:00 at night and I got the craving and I jerk it. And it's like, well, I can't get to confession till Friday and I'm already going to hell. Might as well do it again tomorrow.
Got 4 more days, baby.
Got 4 more days to keep going to hell.
4 more days of jerking it.
And so there's certainly...
And you open up the portal, right, Nick?
Yeah. So we have a buddy who thought he used to open up demon portals in the room that he was in.
That's right.
So we can over-index on the spiritual side of it.
Yeah.
Or we can over-index on just the physical. We can be materialists or magicians, like C.S. Lewis says. And so it's bringing it all together. And the accompaniment piece is huge. Every guy in our group does have a freedom partner. And what they do, that's not just an accountability partner. We have, it's a mouthful, but their daily habit with their freedom partner is to do a daily discomfort discovery call. And what does that mean? What does it mean? So in our system, in our education, our craving-free system, we talk about the difference between temptation and craving. So temptation, if you're going to map temptation on the brain, and this is Joe's work, what he's brought to the table, is that's going to be on the prefrontal cortex. So the imagination, an invisible faculty of the intellect, it's really cool when you visualize and you imagine, your prefrontal cortex is firing up online. Thoughts, memories, images, that's prefrontal cortex. That's temptation. That's that sort of stuff that there's a lot of fight language in the porn world. And that if you want to fight, a lot of the advice is given around temptation, to flee from that, to look the other way, to, just submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee kind of stuff. But craving is very different. Craving is an emotional cortex, the limbic part of your brain, active. It's a whole body experience. So craving is discomfort masquerading as sexual arousal. So it's or more specifically like psychological or emotional discomfort masquerading as sexual arousal. So we say porn's not the problem. Or for me, alcohol. I don't drink anymore, even though I got a bottle of whiskey on my shelf back here. Alcoholism, I've done 12-step work with alcohol and SA, but alcohol for me wasn't my problem. It was the solution to my problem. Porn's not the problem, it's the solution. What's the problem? I don't know how to really welcome discomfort and emotionally regulate in the midst of life's realities. So I think the accompaniment with every day, there's a daily call with your freedom partner. Everyone's got a freedom coach. It's the education, it's the training, it's the commitment to a group of guys going together. It is the content, it's the daily habit. So we bring it all together. The best of everything we personally experienced, and we believe the best of stuff that's out there. And again, Joe said we got to be attached more to the problem of the person we're serving versus our own solution. So we don't pretend to have it all together, and we're certainly open to to learning and grow more, and we're lifelong learners. So Joe, what else do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I appreciate what you said. There's good stuff in all of it. And our principal goal was to take everything out there and to do the work so a guy doesn't have to without removing the quintessential need to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But to collapse the time frame of you don't want to do this for 23 years like I did. Well, you could do it for one. Right. And I think every guy, sure, like I gotta do a year of this. Yeah, you have to do the work. That it's I just posted on LinkedIn the other day. It's like the whole idea of time heals all wounds. No, it doesn't. I know plenty of people that are still carrying around unforgiveness and baggage and crap and living out of there, and their whole life is a spiral of that activity because they didn't stop long enough to be able to face it. Right. And frankly, to the 21 day or the different timestamps on it, like good luck. I would love to see it. If someone could prove that you could do the deep work in 21 days, hell yeah.
That's an official call out. You know who you are. I'm serious. Joe's coming for you.
I would be all about that. The reality is what I've heard over and over again from guys who have come to our process through other things or have tried other things. Mm-hmm. Like that didn't work. Like, I mean, we hear it all the time for SA. Like I was sick of going to a hotel when I had to work and having to lock my phone and laptop and the remote to the TV in a lockbox or in my car so that I didn't have access. It's like, that's how you're going to live for the rest of your life? Like any electronic device is a threat.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sucks.
You even said it would like you'd go a month without it, and then you'd be. And it's like 21 days. That's not even enough. Some that's the cycle for some people. It's a month off,
totally.
A week on, a month off, a week on.
Totally.
Yeah. A few different things. I want to shout out the James McCann and Mark Barnes podcast. So James McCann recently had Mark Barnes on his show, and they talked about the hotel room thing, which is really interesting, Joe. And Mark made this really interesting point that a hotel room is this oddly sexually tempting place because it is a bed without divorced from the home. Like it is a place where something that you do at home happens, but it is divorced from family life. It's divorced from community. It's divorced from anything that makes you,
ties you to your life. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why it's a unique temptation. And James McCann is a comedian friend of ours. He's been on the show a few times. He was just on the Joe Rogan Experience, which is very cool.
Really?
Yeah. But he's talked with us openly on the podcast about how hard it is when he's touring around doing comedy and you go and you have this very intimate experience with your audience and everyone's laughing and it's emotional and then the door shuts, know? And that's like a very extreme example, but the same, for the same thing, you're going on a work trip, so you're doing all these other things. It's huge temptation.
I think you're hitting it on the head, and he certainly is. Most of the guys in our process want to live a magnanimous life. Mm-hmm. They want to be in stressful situations. They want to be able to shoulder the shit. Mm-hmm. They want to be in a high performing work environment where you come home and you have to figure out how to decompress. Do you have the tools to do it? Right? Like, how do you come down off that experience?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if there is no way to come down off the experience, then you're screwed. And if the only way to come down is avoidance, that sucks. And it's a big problem because eventually the opportunity will strike and you will not have the capacity to avoid. And when the threat is in front of you, your emotional cortex goes to 10, which shuts off your thinking brain. And what happens? You don't think anymore, right? And every guy who's coming into our process say at some point it just feels automated. It doesn't feel like I have a choice anymore. And our answer is, you're right.
Right.
That's the way your brain is wired. It is. This is co-opting a pretty sophisticated, amazing self-preservation mechanism that God put there. Why do you think this is happening? Right. And this touches on the spiritual side of his, like, the devil ain't an idiot. Right. He's been at this game for a long time, trying to figure out how to destroy our nervous system so that we can't show up to life and push back.
Yeah. Slavery to sin isn't just a cute metaphor.
Right.
It's like, it's a reality. Yeah.
Right. And it's not just a failure. Like the way most of us think about sin is just like, oh, I did something wrong. It's like, actually it's I want a backbone and it is weakening my capacity to be able to have a backbone when it matters. Right. Like to become like Jordan Peterson's definition of meekness, right? To have a sword and to know how to use it, but to choose to keep it sheathed. Like, I want to know how to operate in life. I want to be competent. I want to be confident in any situation I'm in. And what I didn't realize is, like, I started my first LLC when I was in 8th grade. And yeah, I didn't have some of the skill or the ability. I had plenty of the desire, but I'd get 3 months in, and then I'd be in my first several businesses were DJ companies. And I get in a room in front of 300 people with a microphone in my hand, and I'm running the show, and I'd lose my shit. And then 24 hours in advance of that, I would be freaking out and anxious all the time. And so I had to learn how to regulate that. And so I used pornography to try to regulate my ability to do the thing that I always wanted to do, which was to be an entrepreneur. And I was, as a 13, 14-year-old, the money wasn't the issue. I was getting paid great, like $1,500 a gig, but I turned down gigs or turned away opportunity because I couldn't handle the anxiety that it caused me to, and didn't ever learn how to down regulate so I could show up to that. And people have told me I'm pretty freaking good at it, but I quit it because I couldn't handle the weight of it. And that's what I've always wanted as a man, is like, I want to figure out how to handle the weight, not just how to avoid the sin. I want to figure out how to handle the weight of living a good life. And whatever you're going to do, if it's going to be magnanimous or you're going to aspire to anything, a promotion or a family, kids, a wife, a career, comedy act, a microphone on a stage in front of people, that's what you're signing up for. And if you don't have the capacity, if you don't learn how to do that, your experience will be that, running into the wall. And again, that's not to downplay. It is always to some degree hard. And you always have to choose to exercise the tools to be able to downregulate and to come off of that experience every time the door closes. But the more you choose it, the brain gets better at choosing it for you, which is also the giant secret of the way that God set up, is the lower parts of our brain were designed to make choices for us so that we didn't always have to be in the intensity of making everything a conscious choice.
You mentioned kind of the automation, and I've seen when I hear like pornography discussions online, a lot of the times the conversation just devolves into arguing over culpability, like whether if you're in the automation stage of your cycle, like, oh, am I like, was I culpable because I'm a do you find guys have trouble overcoming that? Have you worked with guys that have that problem? How do you deal with that?
Overcoming the scrupulosity or the
I would say like scrupulosity, but mostly like the obsessing over culpability.
Obsessing with like the spiritual technicalities of being addicted to pornography.
I got a DM. I posted I was meeting with you guys today, and I got a DM. Someone was like, I have a lot of trouble discerning whether or not because a mortal sin is, it was grave matter, fully culpable and full knowledge. I knew it was, but I wasn't fully culpable because I have this addiction, and I have my answer, but I'm not the guy who's helped a bunch of people get free of pornography. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. If you guys dealt with that kind of guy, like, am I culpable? What do I do?
I haven't. I mean, I have my own thoughts too on it. I haven't personally walked with the guy that's been the huge struggle. When they come to us, usually it's like, I just need to get free, and we really try to not hyper moralize it. I got a really good priest friend who's was an early adopter for us, and really refers a lot of guys to us. And his advice and I was referring back to earlier, to young men is, I mean, and this advice stems from the belief that I don't know if any dude struggling with porn is going to go to hell if he looks at porn once. I'll just say that. The culpability piece. So does he actually have full autonomy of his will, or has it been weakened so much to the degree that he actually isn't culpable? But his advice is go to confession no more than once a week. No more, because again, that becomes a part of the vicious cycle. You utilize, and then there's the sin of presumption. Okay, yeah, whatever, fine, sure, that's true. But deeper than that, what are you doing to your brain with that approach when you help that become a part of the vicious cycle? He says no more than once a week, and go to the same guy every time. And so because we can hide, we can hide in this in the tribunal of mercy as well. So I haven't, in a discovery call, I've definitely picked it up with guys.
Sure.
because we have on a call, just a free call with a guy for 30 minutes, hear his story, share a little bit more about what we do, and see if it could be a good fit. Joe, have you worked with anybody personally?
No, that specific issue nobody has ever brought up as an issue on a coaching call or in a coaching group. The immediate response, though, is plenty of stuff comes up where a big, not a small part of coaching is learning to see rabbits and not chase them. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the issue? Or would you rather stay here so that you continue to feel safe?
Right.
With what's really scaring the shit out of you underneath? And I'd rather spend the next 30 minutes
seem like a
talking
smoke
about
screen.
that.
Yeah.
Right?
It does seem like straining at gnats.
Yeah. And again, so I think there's ways that comes to mind. My mind goes to, okay, I'm talking to that guy face to face. We're right here. What do I say next when he throws that at me? Is I want to know about his emotional, physical experience as he goes through both of those experiences. Is it any different? Does he feel better about himself one time? Like, actually, yeah, I feel really good about myself when I just jerked off into the sink, but I didn't have full culpability. Okay, like, what did that feel like? You feel elated about that? Were you excited?
I wasn't fully.
Were you like, I didn't mortally sin that time, right? Like, are you excited about it, or are you letting yourself off so you don't feel as much shame, right? And so I think relatively quickly we get to the core of the issue, which is we don't want to feel pain. He doesn't want to feel pain, and I get that. I don't want to feel pain.
Yeah.
That's why I used it in the first place. And now I have to feel even the worst pain of I'm a failure, I'm a piece of shit, and this sucks. And now I have to sit in shame and struggle to get out of it for the next 24 hours. Well, that didn't work. Right? So I can try to intellectualize in order to drag myself out of that pit. It doesn't work. It works about as well as my avoidance or me running to Netflix to try to distract myself out of it. It's no different, in my opinion, that both strategies are geared towards what? They're geared towards helping myself alleviate the pain that I just created by doing something that I never wanted to do, which is outside of my ideals, to what? Alleviate pain.
So the core focus is pain. Sorry, then I'm stepping on you.
No, go ahead. Go. It's your podcast. Do whatever you want.
The core focus that you guys take seems to be on pain, and it seems so. Like, instead of just going through the comments and DMs that I got, and these guys' individual issues, what are some common rabbits that come up in coaching that you don't chase? Like things that guys focus on that maybe they shouldn't. They should focus on the emotional side instead.
Yeah, a lot of it is external. I want to talk about the conflict I had with my girlfriend, but I want to dig into why she pissed me off. And I want to sit here for the next 30 minutes, and I'd really love to talk about my marriage is falling apart because my spouse is X, Y, or Z, right? Or we're having this problem, right? I had this marriage and family professor who said, whenever I do couples counseling, he was a therapist, also a professor. He said, I always start with the guy first because it's usually simple and there's usually one or two things that need to be confronted and fixed. And then we can deal with the complexity of what's going on with her. And usually the problem is pretty, in terms of interpersonal issues, is usually relatively simple for the guy. You're avoiding, you're deflecting, you're stonewalling, right? You're doing something to keep yourself safe when things feel unsafe in the relationship. Why? Self-preservation. Why are you preserving yourself? Where does that come from? Get to the root of that. What would it look like for you to not do that next time? Holy cow, it worked. I want to try and do that again. Boom, issue solved. But if we can't get there if we spend the whole time talking about the problem because she didn't want to go on vacation and you did, or you wanted to spend money on that thing and she shut you down, right? That's the nail in the head thing. It's never the issue. So being able to scoot around those things a lot of times are environmental or circumstantial things out here, when a lot of our time is directed towards, okay, I see that, and I see that caused you what? What happened in you when that occurred? And then let's look in here. because the way that you responded to it matters a heck of a lot more than the trigger. Right? Triggers, like we talked about with the comedian before, triggers are going to happen for the rest of your life. Right? And so much of trigger response is what a deacon once said to me is the most important thing in life, which is creating liminal space, or the space between trigger and response. Right? And to Nick brought up the concept of the inner child, the early parts of us that learned how to cope through life or respond to life were highly emotional and highly reactive. And I find myself as an adult man now reacting super fast to relatively small triggers, and then they turn into massive problems, right? I don't care about the small trigger, right? And so that's how I'd sum it up. It's like, we don't chase rabbits that are small, or guys bring up that's a small trigger. I care about your response, because your response rarely meets the size of the trigger. It's usually way larger. And that tells me something is here that we need to figure out how to confront, to be able to sort out, so that you can face that trigger again and respond accordingly, with creating some space to be able to think through it and to respond logically or emotionally in such a way that an adult would respond if an adult was in the room at that period of time, or if he hadn't run out and got all in his feelings.
I got my feelings today. I was playing basketball, and I stole the ball, and I was by myself. It was a wide open layup. I missed. There's nobody around me, and I just totally biffed this layup. And one of the guys, I play with this guy named Bruce. He's like 45. He's old, and he thinks he's very funny. And he is funny sometimes, but he's always John. And he's like, Ethan, why did you miss that? And I was like annoyed. I was embarrassed, right? Because I missed it in front of the whole gym. Everybody saw. And I was so mad. I was like, it's because I suck ass, Bruce. And I played it off as a joke. But I was like, legitimately, I was like, why are you calling me out? Everybody already saw me miss. Why did you need to do that again?
Right.
You know? And so what you're talking about the triggers and the responses, like that was definitely an irresponsible, or like a non-commensurate response to the trigger. I should have just said, like, you know, it is what it is, Bruce. You say these things all the time. Yeah. So I feel that in small ways. I'm interested because in the information you guys sent us, it does talk a little bit more about things other than pornography for dudes. And so I'm curious if we could just make it about me for a few minutes.
Please.
So for me, my big struggle has never been pornography. I was never exposed to it as a kid. My parents were rock stars when it came to that type of thing. Just the constant check-ins. My dad talked to me about it.
So he created like this open door. Hey, let's talk about it.
I wouldn't say it was open door. It was more so like it was little things that he did. So we got like a Sports Illustrated magazine, and there was an ad for the swimsuit edition on the back, and he like throws it in the trash, and he's like, I can't believe they're like hawking this crap to like my family. You know, it was like that type of response that I noticed. I was like, oh, there must be something deeply wrong with looking at things like that, you know, because if my dad is responding that way, and then just a very, you know, clear, like no phones in the room, no laptops in the room, you know, so it all kind of built up to be this system. So that's never been my problem. Although I do get a little bit into YouTube, and I do get into social media, and I do get into wasting time on the internet when I should be doing other things. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if what you guys do has any, because I know there's plenty of people who listen to the podcast that maybe do or don't struggle with pornography, but definitely struggle with, you know, internet usage, you know, as like just in general, as a way to escape and deal with some of the triggers. So I'm wondering what your guys' approaches to that, if you coach men through that and what that looks like. Yeah.
I mean, the main thing we go after is freedom from the craving to porn. But certainly once you start getting a hold on that, you can kind of guys start noticing, they start playing whack-a-mole where they want to, they still have pain, and they'll look to numb and cope in other ways, whether it's food. I mean, the kind of four things that typically men use to cope are food, porn, alcohol, and anger. Anger is a surface emotion. Anger is just a red light that says, hey, let's look underneath the hood. But porn, or sexually acting out in some capacity, food, like especially simple carbs like sugar and cheap fat. And
5 bowls of cereal at 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah, that can do the trick.
One.
Dude, that's me.
We got
20 years old. You're describing my life.
Yeah. I was a lot older than that when I used to do that.
That's right.
You beat me.
So ultimately, we say this early on that the muscles we are working are generic muscles. So your ability to suffer well in any situation. And an acronym we use is BLASTED. Maybe you guys have heard this acronym before. This HALT is a common acronym, but we like BLASTED: bored, lonely, angry or anxious, sad or stressed, tired, empty, and disconnected. And it's often when we're experiencing one of those states of being, let's say, that we'll want to react to that. We're not okay with feeling that. A mentor of mine, a longtime mentor, Bob Schutz, says, all sin is a result of avoiding suffering. Like, if I'm going to tell even a white lie, it's because for some reason I think that telling the truth is going to be more painful than telling a lie. Whatever it is, it's avoiding suffering. So we talk about your willingness to experience really reality, but your willingness to experience any of these, quote, negative states, boredom. If I'm not willing to feel bored, I'll act on it and I'll fill the space. So we really want to get curious. What's underneath that thing? Okay. So let's look a mile before the doom scrolling. What kind of state was I in? So certainly there are those things will come up, but I mean, the same brain that gets yourself addicted to porn is the same brain that gets yourself addicted to Captain Crunch. A book of ours, certainly a top 10 of mine. This book by a guy by the name of Gerald May called Addiction and Grace. Powerful book, but in a nutshell, he says to be alive is to be addicted, and to be addicted is to be in need of God's grace. So ultimately, we were born for attachment. We were meant to be attached and for healthy and holy and ordered attachment. And when those things don't happen, there's a negative approach to getting free from porn, and there's a positive approach to getting free from porn. Either way, the negative is put up your blocks. The positive is filling yourself with the healthy things. So I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here.
Get me fired up, baby.
Yeah, but our definition we often use for addiction is an illegitimate way to fill a legitimate need, habituated over time without the ability to stop on your own. So there's legitimate needs we have, and oftentimes, I mean, it's going to be connection. When you're talking about like the doom scrolling and all that stuff, we want connection. Okay, how do we can talk about that with guys, but generally, like, these are lifelong. This is a lifestyle. So Freedom Group is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle brand, and it's a lifestyle way to live your life out, to become the man that, like, the wife you're looking for is looking for. Joe, you got this powerful story where, I don't know how far into your marriage, you've been married 10 years now, but where Krista said, I don't want to take your line, but it's powerful.
I was trying to figure out where you're going. Which
do you know what I'm saying? You picked the baton up.
Where she said I was really good looking and also the best husband ever. That one?
Really,
that time.
Ridiculously good looking. No, it was some months after I stopped using porn to cope, and she said, kind of offhand, and I don't know, these were her exact words, but this is how I internalized it. She said, I finally feel like I met the man I thought I was marrying.
Wow.
And I think all of us that are married or aspiring to be married, that's what we want. Right. We want to be enough.
Right.
Say what you will about women. They have a way with words.
And I have.
And I have.
Know how to tear it down and build it back up.
And on that note, many of the men that are married that, let's just say, there's like 7 months into a program, the guy's still like, he's not totally free yet. And he might still be struggling with that fact, but many guys say, their wives say, you got to keep going. You are very different than you were 7 months ago. Your ability to meet me and my stuff, your ability to be present and grounded with the family in the moment, this is again generic muscles that work for everything in a man's life. His ability to carry weight and feel reality and live in reality, really.
Yep. And I mean, things like, again, I love this stuff because we have to figure out how to live in the world we're in.
Yeah.
Our phones are designed to suck attention. That's why they exist. People get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, teams of people that are all getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure out how to make this more attention sapping. So figure out how to live it. And I this past week, and we do once a quarter, we try to do a 72-hour food fast, water only fast. Invite as many guys as want to do it to come with us inside of groups and outside of groups. And guys regularly say like that was like the turning point. That's when things changed, because I met pain and I was able to keep going, and that changed me. Right. And so experiences like that matter. They aren't the entirety. We need, it's a both and, not an either or. But this past weekend was the first time, because I finally saw one more Dr. Amen clip on social media of him saying that giving up your phone for 72 hours resets your dopamine system. I was like, I'm going to try it. So I told my wife on Friday afternoon when I shut down my phone, it's like, I'm putting this in the top drawer of my desk or my bedside table. I don't want you to let me take it out until Monday. And I worked for 1 hour on Saturday on my iPad, and I sent Nick one text about something I got done. And other than that, that was it. And I had moments of like leaving the house without her, because we just had a little baby. And so she's at home with the newborn, and I'm taking the other 3 kids out, and like, how am I going to communicate? What if she needs me? What am I going to do
how did
for the
we
next
do
hour
this
and a half?
20 years ago?
And I figured it out. That was and I like didn't miss it. And the funny enough is like the whole time is my senior capstone project was on nomophobia, which is the people's physiological reaction to being without their phone, especially when a stimulus from the phone occurs.
You should call it nomophonia.
Hey,
Nomophonia.
I don't have my phone.
Nomophobia, being afraid of gardens, being afraid of Alaska.
Yeah. You guys, apparently you're not scientists.
Listen,
we gotta be technical here. We're not going for clickbait. All right?
It is 8:30 at night. I've worked
Ethan
all
has
day.
a doctorate. All right,
I do have a doctorate in dating, so I need you to respect me on my podcast.
All right.
Finish your thought. I'm sorry. Nomophobia.
No, phobia, the fear of being out with mobile phone.
Nomophobia.
Fear of being without your mobile phone.
Oh, yeah, I guess people your age call it a mobile. Interesting.
Mobile.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I get your mobile?
Can I get your mobile?
Your digis. So we did the study with college students where we put their phone across the room. We told them that they're doing a meditation study. So we're just studying their physiological response to meditating for 10 minutes. So they just be quiet and sit there. And then we called their phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then we watched what happened when they did. And some people ripped off the stuff. Some people scooted the desk and the chair across the room to get over to the phone. Other people, everybody, there was some sort of physical response. Everybody looked over at it, and there was a response, a noticeable response on the equipment to people's experience of that trigger. So
you solve that by registering your phone on your LLC, and then you get so many calls and texts that you don't even care who it's from.
That's true.
Like, it's probably a spam
That's
call.
true. Yeah, you're actually happy. You get more regulated every time your phone buzzes, because it feels like daily life.
Yeah.
No, by the end of it, by the end of Sunday going into Monday, I was more calm and regulated. And of course, I jump right back onto Instagram to see what I missed reflexively. And I noticed
when I get to see the 20 notifications on X.
Feels good.
20 plus.
It feels 20 plus. You're like, I'm so freaking popular.
Hits you right there, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it's all just notifications from Ethan tweeting.
Listen, I deleted X and Instagram off my phone this week because I needed to lock in at work, and it's been great. It's genuinely like I read like 100 pages of a book the other day. I'm like, why do I ever do anything other than this?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
and it's really frustrating because we've been through phases for we've done this podcast for 9 years at this point. And so we've been through lots of different relationships with social media and the phone and all these different things. We totally, like during COVID, I totally deleted my X account, got rid of it, was totally out of the game. Then I was back in and I was trying to grow really fast, and Patrick was growing to like 50,000 followers. Now he's got 60,000 followers. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that too. And now I'm like, I don't even want to see it. I don't even care about any of it that's going on. It feels like it's, I feel like I'm just happier when I don't care as much. But then it has an effect on the business, and you got to. And so what you're talking about, Nick, with like the weight, it's like how much can I actually carry?
Right.
Have I built these muscles to actually take on this thing, which is a literal, like it's now with AI, it is like a casino designed to tell me how awesome I am. That is always on and always listening to me. And like, do I have the power, to like hold it and maintain it? And the answer right now, I think, is absolutely no. And it probably is for like 99% of people. Like, right. I don't know who's virtuous enough to be able to deal with that level of like psychological torture, highly lit OLED screen burning into your retinas until 11 o'clock at night every day.
And AI as creators, it's a fascinating exploration of what it feels like to play God, to speak things into existence.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
I've built stuff that I couldn't build if I went to school for 1,000,000 years, and I'm able to build it by talking to a machine, and it's a pretty addictive experience.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure that we were designed to have that amount of power and capability by just using our text to speak function.
Yeah, it's pretty frightening. Well, this is, I think we're at a good stopping point. I really have enjoyed the conversation, Patrick. I know you asked some great questions. I'm sure you enjoyed it as well. I would love to hear just like a final message. There's a lot of men that listen to the show. Some of them probably need what it is you're offering. But if you had something to maybe encourage or exhort the gentlemen listening, and if there's any ladies that are still hanging out, super glad you're here. Thanks for coming to the boy cast. But we'd love to hear from both of you, just kind of your final message to the guys out there, and what you would encourage them and what you think their next step should be.
Yeah, I'll start. So as I mentioned in my life, my story is, maybe the two main addictions for me have been alcohol and porn and masturbation. And the reason I often went to those was because when I was regularly in a habit of abdicating responsibility, if I'm honest, and if you're honest listening to this, you know that the Father has given you a shit ton of gifts. And it really fires me up at this point in my life when I think about the fact that someday I'm going to meet that maker who gave me these gifts, and I'm going to be held responsible in a way. Like, I'll be held accountable. And so much of my life I lived in fear and wounding, and I didn't steward the gifts well. And so I go to these, as John Eldridge says, less wild lovers just to satisfy, give me sips of pleasure. I sell out on a holiday at sea for some mud pies, as C.S. Lewis says. And so there's things in your life, there's things in my life, there still are, right, that are just getting in the way of me becoming someone. And we got to be ruthless about it. Joe said earlier, we're living in this world, and so we got to learn how to live in this world. And some of the things is like, we got to learn how to engage the tools well, and others, we got to have some healthy self-knowledge and be ruthless about ridding things out of our life that are limiting my ability to become who I'm called to be, not just for my own sake, but for others. We say, and we get this from Dan Allender, Christian psychologist. He says the whole purpose of counseling, the whole purpose of therapy, the whole purpose of healing and freedom isn't just for its own sake, to be free, like for your own sake, or to be healed. It's biblically speaking, is to reign as a king, to become a king, to become the type of man to whom the Father can confer on you a kingdom. And a kingdom is basically a realm, a sphere of influence with which what you say goes. Like, you have, like, what your will can actually be implemented into reality. And oftentimes that's your family, at least minimally. And God willing, if He gives you more responsibility, if you're faithful to that, He'll give you more. And deep down within all of us, I know that we know our life matters, and what we do with our life matters, and we know that we've got potential, and there's just things that are getting in the way, and we're just living a numbed life. And so my encouragement for you, even whether or not you reach out to us, like we tell guys all the time, like at the end of a discovery call, like, I honestly do not care. One, I'm grateful we're talking. I'm grateful you reached out, because that step is already going to just start doing something in the way you're looking at your own life and taking responsibility. Two, I don't care if you do a freedom group, but I want you to do something. And maybe at this point, all it is finding that one guy who you can text every day. Hey, did you play with your dinghy or not? Whatever. Do something. Like, maybe it is doing cold. I don't know, whatever it is, do something, because the compound effect of daily decisions. There's something to be said about the daily discipline of the 12-step program. Just do it today. I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to look at porn today. The master from Nazareth said it first. Don't worry about tomorrow. Worry about today. Don't have any anxiety. Tomorrow's got enough evil, or maybe today's got enough evil for itself. Focus on today. In the compound effect of making daily decisions over and over and over, 1 year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, all of a sudden you're going to be somewhere, and you're going to be somebody, and you're going to become somebody for the people in your life that you need, that they need you to become. So you're called to become a king, men, and we rule as servants in the kingdom of God. The king taught us how to wash people's feet, and we serve as king. So I'll stick the landing with that.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to turn the Bropostles into a bromance. Nick, I've known you for a long time. It is freaking makes my heart sing. I mean, this is why we do what we do, is because we want men to experience what we've tasted and seen, and watching you no longer abdicate responsibility in your life as a leader and step up and lead. That's the invitation. We're not here pretending we're experts. We're here saying, come with us. Let's figure out how to do this together, and being free from craving and building lives of purpose and meaning. And that's what our freedom groups exist to do. And we just launched the Kingmakers community to be able to help guys build an operating system for their life. And we run EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System, in our business. So what would it look like if you took Living Forward by Michael Hyatt and married that with Traction, EOS, and went after it in your life, your personal life, had a real plan, intention with what is going to look different in your life a year from now, and then had dudes that wanted it as bad as you do. I haven't met many men in my immediate sphere or circle that are living like that every single day. And I know I desperately need men like that. And so we're trying to build the place where people can have that kind of vulnerable, honest conversation. Like, I'm not there, but I want it bad. And that's what part of the reason we invite guys to say no to what we're trying to do, because it is intense. It does require fasting for 72 hours. Isn't a lot of fun when you're doing it. That it takes work to be able to do the work. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. It takes work to be able to put a life plan together, and then to look at it every single week for the next year, and then to examine it deeply every quarter, and come to a 2-hour mastermind where you dig into it and you're seen by other people. That's hard work. Do I want to prepare for that again? I don't know. Right? But the reason we've done it is because we've experienced it first in our lives, and it's worth doing. And that's what we found over and over again when guys start to do it, get into a freedom group, join the Kingmakers community, or do something like it. And to that end, I don't care if we're a tiny drop in the bucket, or we acquire all the other meaningful things out there and then we build it. I just want to see the porn industry ended, because there's no Christian dudes left using the frickin' website anymore. And we know that the game is built on attention, and nobody will have jobs in that industry anymore if we freaking stop. And I know how hard it is to stop, because I was there for 23 years, right? And I'm not sure we're going to get through legislature. I don't think that we're going to moderate it off the internet. So let's
because 85% of the senators are pornography users.
Yeah,
so
right. And so
it's a demand problem, not a supply problem.
Right. And the reality is that Christian men in America are the ones driving the ship right now. They're the ones keeping it online. They're the ones helping grow the industry, making it the biggest economy. And I'm not putting it all on Christian men as if it's solely on us, but we're the ones who say we don't believe that this is valuable and we want it to stop. So let's stop with us first. And that's our goal. That's our dream, is to build an army of men who are helping to end the industry, and then turn around and say, you know what, actually, I don't want to just set a goal like Nick always says that a dead man can accomplish. The goal was never about, just being free from the craving of porn. Now I want to figure out how to live life with purpose, which Nick just spoke to. And so I won't reiterate everything he said, but then that becomes the goal. And that's what the Kingmakers community exists to do, is just to help each other live like that, to pick up our daily work and to do it over and over and over again. And then when we get tired for some other dude, I saw this video of Jesse Itzler, who ran a 100-mile marathon, and Chad Wright ran it with him. If anybody knows, Chad Wright is a freaking animal. And at mile 72, Jesse's going to quit. And Chad said, just say over and over again, I don't quit. And finally, Jesse Itzler says, I don't quit. And then he grabs him by the shirt and he says, then don't walk, run. Right. And like, that's what I believe the power of community is, that men desperately needs. Is I need guys that are around me. And Nick is one of those dudes who at times in my life looks at me when I'm in the crapper and says, tell me you won't quit. And it grabs my shirt by the collar and says, then don't walk, run. And that's how I figure out how to finish a 100-mile marathon in the actual sense. I'm never going to do that probably in my life, maybe someday, but in the marathon of life, that I won't get there. I'm only 32 years old. I won't get there if there aren't guys like that around me. And so that's our goal, is to build a huge community of guys that are doing that together and can help each other get there.
Man, you're old. 32 is crazy.
Yeah. Don't ask Nick how old he is. Guy's basically buried.
I know. I am 29, so it's not. I can't really say too much.
Nick
you're,
says,
you're old enough. You're old enough
that man can accomplish because he knows what it feels like.
Yes.
Isn't that right, Nick?
Oh, I didn't catch. What did you say?
I said you always say don't set a goal a dead man can accomplish, because you're starting to know what it feels like.
Almost there, baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Come on.
If someone wanted to do one of those free 30-minute discovery calls with you guys, where would they go? How would they get signed up for that?
Yeah, we don't have space. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, we're.
I did see on LinkedIn that you guys you're hiring because the demand has outpaced your ability to fulfill, which is awesome.
Yep.
So
yeah, we're excited, and
so
we're
just
expecting
stay
to be
tuned,
hiring
basically.
more guys this year, more coaches. So we've got 4 of us total right now. Yeah, the easy way to do it is go to thefreedomgroup.co and just click the link, schedule a call.
That's the
Wonderful.
traditional way. We're about to launch a brand new website that will give a guy a super detailed assessment and report of his whole, like where he's at today. So he never has to talk to us unless he wants to be able to figure out how things are actually going today. Emailed right to him, all that secure and private. So he'll be able to take that. He'll also get 100% access to our Rewire Your Brain course, where he can get some of the information completely for free, never having to talk to us. And then if he decides he wants to talk to us, we'll give him a free coaching call. So get on the call and just give him some free value of where are you at right now? How could we help you solve your problem? And then let him decide if this is the right approach to him. Because ultimately, again, we tell every guy, this is your work. We want to get in your corner and help you do it, but you have to sign up for that and want it far more than we want it for you. We can't make you or force you to be able to do this. So you guys are the first people we've ever told about that offer exists and all that free stuff.
Exclusive.
So
Bropostles exclusive.
You heard it here
Look at
first.
that.
Right.
Come on.
So we will send you a link that nobody else has. So you can also go to fglead.thefreedomgroup.co. Someone could go to that right now and you'd be able to get that tonight. But we'll send you guys the 2 of you, and you guys can share that with your Discord community or however you get that out.
100%. Thank you for giving us exclusive access. I think that'll help a lot of people, and we're excited to get the word out. And as more things develop, if your spots open up, let us know, and we'll make sure we let our people know, because this is great work, and it's absolutely needed in the world today. So I think that does it for the show. Patrick, you got anything else before we wrap up?
No, this is fun. We should bring more people on the Bropostles podcast.
Do you want to do more interviews?
Yes, I had fun.
Remember when I
thinking questions and
suggested
asking them.
16 weeks ago that we should do more interviews, and you were like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Well, I was wrong, and now I'm right. And
Hey, let's go.
That could have gotten really awkward.
Yeah, Ethan didn't want this at the beginning of the podcast. Based on
No,
my
I was in such a bad mood at the
that
beginning
may
of
have
the
been
show,
dripping of sarcasm, or too much honesty. I don't know which.
No, I never lie. I always tell the truth. I did not want to do this, but I'm happy that I did. And it was a long day. The kids wake up super early, and then bedtime. You know how it is, right?
Yeah.
It's
Don't
just
complain, dude. It doesn't just shut off your prefrontal cortex. It shuts off all the rest of ours. So get that out of my.
Right. I'm just telling you why I was frustrated at the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
My
I get it.
prefrontal cortex is on.
You were able to
I turned
deflect
it back
all that
on.
complaining.
So you think.
Yes.
Well done.
Yeah.
I filtered
Well
it out.
done.
I took 0
Yeah.
psychic damage.
All right. That's it for our show. We'll talk to you guys next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
All right.